going live, and apparently we're live online. Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Eva Amson. I'm the Outreach Director for F1000 Research. We're an open science publishing platform for life scientists, and because this week is Open Access Week, we thought we would talk about that with a few guests today. I'm going to start with a short introduction about quite broadly the concept of open access, which you might be familiar with or you might not be too familiar with. And after that, I will introduce my guests. One of my guests is already online, Abel Packer. We're still waiting for Rosario Rogel to join us. She's having some connectivity problems. But I'm just going to start with the first questions, and hopefully she will be able to join in a minute or so. As an introduction, open access, as we know it now, especially in the sciences, was originally defined in a meeting in Budapest. That's quite long ago in terms of the internet anyway. It was in 2001. So we've had open access since 2001. It's almost a decade and a half right now. This meeting produced the Budapest Open Access Initiative, which was a statement of principles about open access publishing. And even before the Budapest Declaration, it was possible for researchers to publish their work online, to self-archive their manuscripts, but there weren't really formal open access publishers until after that. In the life sciences, Biomed Central was the first open access publisher that launched in 2000, and the Public Library of Science, or PLOS, launched shortly after in 2001. But now open access is more popular than ever, and in the life sciences, about 50% of scientific papers published are available for free online in some way. I don't know if you can see Rosario pop up once in a while. She's trying to connect. She managed to connect before, and I don't know what's happening now, so we'll give her some more time. But open access, there are two flavors of open access. One is called green open access, and that is basically just the archiving of manuscripts in accessible repositories, so in institutional repositories or in something like PubMed Central. And although this allows researchers to publish in any journal they want and deposit their manuscript later, the system has some limitations, and we don't have time to talk about that a lot today, but we might save that for future discussions. Gold open access is the other flavor, and that is publisher-mediated open access. So that's when you publish in a journal and the journal is an open access journal. The benefit of this type of open access is that the article is immediately made open access and authors don't have to take extra steps, but there can be a cost associated with it, so that's the flip side. Now, while the central goal of open access is to make research available to a wide audience, many of the discussions about the success focus on North America and Europe. However, there are many noteworthy models explored in other places, and today we will be looking at hopefully two of them, definitely one of them, in a talk with Professor Rosario Rogel, who is not yet online, and with Abel Packer. So I will just right now introduce Abel Packer to you, and I'll give him his first question. And once Rosario joins, I will introduce her as well. So Professor Abel Packer is advisor of Information and Communication Science at the Science Support Foundation of Federal University of Sao Paulo, and he is also the program director of CLEO at FAPESP. Prior to his current role, he served as a director of BIREME, which was founded in Brazil in 1967 as a specialized center of the Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization. He has a bachelor's in business management and a master's in library science, both from Syracuse University. He has experience in information science, librarianship, information technology, and information management, and has authored numerous books and chapters on these issues. So my first question for you, Abel, thank you first of all for joining us. My first question is, could you just give us a brief history of CIELO and tell us why it came about and the kind of problems that it was trying to solve?
Eva, thank you very much for the invitation, for the opportunity to participate in this teleconference, in this interview. I appreciate very much this opportunity. CLEO stands for Scientific Electronic Library Online. Is a scientific communication program. It has 16 years of regular operation, so it was launched 4 years before Budapest Declaration. So it's by that time the open access movement, or even open access terminology, was not in place. So, but we started by publishing journals online in the web in open access. The objective that time and now is improve visibility, quality, performance of selected journals. No? So these objectives by that time was very clear, because we had only a few number of journals indexed by that time in Science Citation Index of the Thomson Reuters. So Cielo was created as an index to cover journals from Brazil. And also we decided not to only do the indexing function, but also to publish it online in open access, the full text. So we by that time in 1998, Chile also decided to adopt the CIELO program, and by that time it started the development of the CIELO network, which today is present in 16 countries. Okay, and we have a national collection of selected journals per country. The total number of journals that are published by CIELO network today is about 1,000. And these journals publish about 45,000 articles per year, and we have accumulated about just now 490,000, and we hope to reach 500,000 in 1 or 2 months. So this is more or less what Cielo is.
Okay. And what is the process or the guidelines of evaluation for a journal to be accepted in CLEO?
Okay, each national collection is independently managed, funded, and we have minimum common criteria to select the journal. So in each country, for each collection, there is a scientific committee which evaluates journals published nationally, and we use very known criteria and indicators to select the journal. The main criteria are related to the scientific character and performance of the journal. So it is necessary that the journals publish mainly original research, that they have editors that manage the journals, which are formed by known researchers, representative of the different areas. And we look also on the performance of the journals related to citations. So of course, to look to citations, you need to have a previous collections. Today, we do have enough journals that cite other journals. So when a journal submitted to Cielo, one of the criteria that we look if it is cited by the current journals. no, if there are similar journals in the database. We look also on the performance of the journals using the Google metrics indicator. So that's more or less the criteria.
So you have quite a regional focus in CLO.
Definitely, the idea is to develop the journals that are published nationally.
And Cielo, as well as Redalyc, which Rosario would have told us about if she were able to join this call, they've been quite successful in bringing together gold open access journals into this sort of a meta publishing platform. And to what do you attribute this success, at least when it comes to Cielo?
Many reasons, many reasons. One of the maybe the main reason was because we started to publish in open access in the very beginning. So when we started, it was there was not so many online publications. So we started by moving journals to online publication, and we decided to do that using open access. So I think that the pioneerism of Cielo is one reason. The other reason of the success of Cielo in Brazil and in the other countries is the support of the national research councils, national research agencies that fund the research. They do fund the Cielo, and this is represent political support, and most of these institutions are authoritative in the countries in terms of research policies and research evaluation. The other reason of the success of SciELO is that it is considered, together with Web of Science in its Focus, as an index to evaluate and ranking journals. So journals and the authors, they do prefer to publish in local journals that are indexed in Cielo because they will have a better evaluation. And the other reason of the success of Cielo is that we do provide many services to the journals that otherwise it would be very expensive or very complex to them. So this is a lot.
So I just got an update about Rosario. She can see us, but she can't seem to participate, and I can see her pop up for less than a second once every minute or so. So I don't know why it's not working. Sorry, Rosario. There it was again. She just pops up and then she's gone. I've tried sending the link a few times, and it worked when we did a test run on Friday. But we are covering quite a lot already, so I'm just going to continue just with you and the questions about CLO. So one thing that's of particular interest is your relationship with institutes and scholarly societies. I think you would be hard-pressed to find very successful gold open access journals that are financed by scientific societies or institutes. So what lessons could you share with publishers, with scholarly societies, with research institutes in the US and the UK? Like, what can we learn from you? How do you work with your publishers and societies?
I think, Eva, that we have different conditions, different situation, historical. I think that the lessons we learned working together with scientific society and the institution is that the publishing of journals is not a profit business. No, it's not a profit enterprise. So if you think in terms of the communication of research as an integral part of the research project, so it is let's say, in many senses, funded by national researchers and the societies that organize and publish journals. They can develop, and that is the lesson in Brazil and other countries, they can develop a mix of funding that can actually sustain the journals. Not for profit, but they can sustain the journal. So I think that is the main lesson. The other one is put societies together, and not individually as publishing, but create common platforms that will contribute to, let's say, mutual cooperation and make the publishing of journals cheaper than if you go to publish individually. So these are the critical lessons we learned working with scientific society and universities and institutions.
Okay, I'm just looking at Twitter in the meantime, and I see there's a question for you. How does Cielo manage to keep the publishing costs so low? And that kind of ties into my next question. Who finances publication in open access journals that are indexed in your database?
Okay, what I think that what we developed to maintain, and we are trying to make the costs more below than we have today, is creating critical mass. Now, if you have, like in the case of Brazil, we operate to almost 300 journals. So we are planning to have the full publication of an article below $200. So including, of course, the operation using the same platform. So I think that the main reason is that Cielo is not for profit. We do use mainly open access, open software or services that are available, and we create, let's say, critical mass, to make the individual publication cheaper. In the case of Brazil, but that's the same in other countries, the funding of the journals and the Cielo is in general a mix of funding from the institution that is responsible for the journal, be it university or scientific societies, research agencies. We have programs that fund journals in Brazil, in Chile, in Mexico, in Argentina, in Colombia. So journals receive part of their budget from national researchers. And the other journals are also adding to their budget resources from APC. More and more journals are using APC. So in most of the cases is a mix of the funding.
And I think because you've been going for so long, people are getting used to it as well, and then it makes it easier to plan funding. Yes. I want to talk a little bit about the impact factor and altmetrics. CLO recently rolled out article level metrics for the articles that are in CLO. In your estimation, what is the attitude towards the impact factor in Brazil and the rest of Latin America, and how have people reacted to the altmetrics on CLO?
Okay, the attitude in general is still outmoded, in the sense that most of the national research agencies are still using impact factor as a proxy to measure impact of the research or quality of the research. So you publish in a high impact journal, does not matter if your article gets or not gets citation. You get the, let's say, you import the impact factor of the journals. In the last 3 or 4 years, there started a campaign against the, let's say, obsessive use of impact factor, but it is still used. The authors are in some way, let's say, forced, or they need to search for journals that are prestige journals that has impact factor. This is really the main barrier that we have to develop nationally published journals, because nationally published journals, they are, let's say, those that are indexed in Web of Science or Scopus. Most of them were indexed in the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, so they are young internationally. They significant, let's say 50%, is still published in Portuguese or Spanish, which of course is expected to receive only domestic citations. So that's the reason why Cielo reached an agreement with Thomson Reuters to have all the Cielo journals within the Web of Science platform. So for each journal and each article, we can now measure the citation they receive from the Cielo, let's say, collection and the Web of Science collection. So we will maximize the counting of domestic and international citations.
Okay. So I saw that during while we were talking, Rosario tried to join a few more times. It seems that it still hasn't worked yet, and we're almost at the end of our chat. So I'm going to ask you a question that you might not be able to answer to the full extent that Rosario would have. But for the people who were joining us to find out more specifically about Redalyc, can you explain a little bit what the difference is between CLEO and Redalyc?
Okay, Redalyc is let's say, in some way it performs the same function as Cielo, in the sense that they have a collection of journals, and they publish the entire journals online in open access. The main difference between Redalyc and Cielo is Redalyc is a centralized operation, so it's a centralized repository, and the Cielo works as a network of nationally decentralized operations. So the decision of which journal enters in Cielo Chile or Cielo Mexico is carried out by local committees, and in the case of Redalyc is centralized. And originally Redalyc was more focused on the area of social science and humanities, and then they started also to index other thematic areas, but they are mainly originally oriented to social science and humanities. So I cannot tell more, but Redalyc has let's say a sustainable operation, is financed by University of the State of Mexico, and we, as much as possible, we cooperate between us.
Okay, that's good to know. And my last question is, what are the future plans for CLEO? Is there anything that any specific plans, anything you would like to do?
Yes, the last year we celebrated 15 years of operation of Cielo, and we discussed with the network for 6 months before the meeting, and we defined for the future uh, three lines of action. No? The objectives remain the same, but we define it as priority, what we call professionalization of journals, internationalization of journals, and the strengthening of the financial operation. So we are now focusing to improve the quality of the journals and as much as possible make the journals auto-sustainable using different financial sources.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm just going to check that there are no more questions on Twitter. I don't see any. If anyone has any questions for Abel, you can use, if you ask them on Twitter and use the hashtag F1000talks or send them to @F1000research, I will be able to see them. And while I wait for that, I just want to thank you for joining us today. And I want to thank Rosario, even though we had some technical difficulties. We Oh yes, we will try to do to get Rosario on later this week and see if we can get her separately and ask her the questions that we prepared about Redalyc. Um, I don't see any more questions come in. I already gave you a question earlier. And then I also would like to thank my colleague Cesar Barrios Otero, who is not listening to me at the moment, but he helped set up the interview and invited the speakers and helped prepare the questions and the introduction and showed me how to use Google Hangout. So I couldn't have done it without him. And with that, we've been talking for half an hour with just the two of us, so we've covered a lot of ground. Is there
Yeah.
anything you would like to add? Anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to talk about?
No, Eva, just to thank you for this opportunity. Cielo is fully committed to open access. The objective really is to contribute to the communication of research that that has mainly, let's say, in some way, local interest, or local problems. But we are trying to maximize the internationalization of this research.
Hmm.
So this is an opportunity for that. So I thank you very much. I miss it as you, Rosario. So I
Yes.
hope we will have the
We'll
opportunity
try
of.
it later this week. I did
Okay.
get one more question just came in. It's a short question. Is there a preference among scientists for subscription journals versus open access databases? What do you think authors would prefer? I mean, I guess if it's a journal, they'll have to pay for it. But it's so
Uh,
basically green versus gold. What do authors prefer?
okay, authors, I think that in Brazil and Latin America, authors prefer first to publish in journals that are most prestigious in their area. This continue to be the main rule.
Yeah.
The second movement that is happening is that the authors is trying to combine the publishing in prestigious journals with open access because this will provide then, let's say, opportunity to be awarded because they publish in a high impact journal and at the same time they publish in open access which offer a huge opportunity for them to share their research. So I think that the change in the author's decision uh, to where to publish will be influenced in the future by changing the evaluation of research and not use, let's say, impact factor as the main rule. And at the same time, the changing in the publishing system, where the journals will progressively losing their importance in favor of platforms. So I think that we are in a transition now, and the author's decision are still influenced by all the criteria.
Yeah, yeah, we see that too. With okay. I also got a comment that you have a beautiful plant in the background, so people are noticing your backgrounds. My background is Faculty of 1000 office in London, which is less exciting. It's just people working. So thank you very much. Hopefully we will be able to talk to Rosario later in the week. This broadcast is going to be archived on our YouTube page as well. For anyone who missed it, can watch it later. And thanks again for joining us, and happy Open Access Week.
Okay, Eva, for you too. Thank you very much. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.